This is Margot. She's been living in Tel Aviv, Israel for nearly 15 years, building a life she loves. These days, however, she mostly spends her time running to a bomb shelter with her dog, Junior.
Well, that's my life.
Despite the missiles, she loves living in Tel Aviv. However, she couldn't help but notice people often make a lot of assumptions about what it's like here, which are usually quite wrong. Like this next one, for example.
They are fucking up that country. Iran is tearing that ass up in Israel, okay? And it's fucking crazy.
Basically, she's tired of people who can't even locate her country on a map, speaking over actual Israelis who are living through this. So now, she started a YouTube channel to challenge those assumptions and clear up some of the questions. Oh look, here she is now to start the video. Take it away, Margot.
I wanted to answer some of the most popular questions that you guys submitted to me over on my Instagram in this video. I filmed it a couple days ago because I felt like it was just important to give you guys a realistic, everyday look into what life in Tel Aviv has been like for the past month of war and missiles. So here you go.
Sorry to disappoint the clowns on TikTok, but as you can see here, Tel Aviv is not, in fact, tore the F up. In fact, not even cluster bombs can stop Tel Avivians and their dogs from going to a coffee shop. Sure, things are a bit chaotic right now, and if we hear the term new normal one more time, we'll absolutely lose it. The show must go on, even from a dingy bomb shelter. Lately, places like this have become the backdrop of our lives. Here's Margot now to tell us more about
Hi guys.
it.
Welcome to the bomb shelter. Nice to see you again. I got my iced coffee. I figured this would be the realest place of all of them to come and answer some of your questions about what life is like in Tel Aviv right now. I would say, without a doubt, the most common question that you guys sent through was, should I come visit? Is it safe to visit Israel? Can I come for Passover, Pesach? And here's my most honest answer to that. I'm not going to sit here and tell a Jewish person not to come to Israel for Passover, but here is the truth, and here's the reality of the situation. Unless you have a really, really good reason to be here, or a family emergency, or a situation that is dire, I wouldn't recommend it. Nothing about this experience right now is fun, or romantic, or adventurous, or cool. I really can't stress enough how exhausting and stressful going through this experience can really truly be. If you want to spend your Passover holiday getting woken up at 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, multiple times a night, coming to a place like this, I mean, is this where you want to spend your Pesach?
No, not really.
This is what millions of Israeli families are having to do for the past 3+ weeks now. So, I mean, if this is where you want to come and spend your spring break, please be my guest. I guarantee you, after the first siren or two, you'd be over it. You'd be over it. Like, is that where you want to be going to the bathroom? And I don't mean this in a despairing way. I have been also spending my last 3 weeks in a public shelter and in a shelter in my neighbor's building. It's not fun. It's not glamorous. And I can't emphasize that enough. This sucks right now, and this is the reality for Israelis. So don't think that, it's some kind of cool, glorious, romantic thing right now. Also, it's not like you can go lay on the beach or go on outdoor adventures and stuff like that. You have to stay next to a shelter at all times. And the normal things that you might do here on a vacation in Tel Aviv or in Israel aren't really as readily available. It's just a lot. And I think, I'm sure the people that are asking this genuinely just want to know. Maybe they already have travel plans in place or are thinking like, should I come, should I not? Kitzur, tachles, I can't really recommend it. Here's another thing I've witnessed, and I've seen people talk about this online. I've seen people share the most ridiculous, tone-deaf things, saying like, I really wish I could be in Israel right now to experience this. No, you don't. respectfully, you do not want to be here. I just feel like there's a tendency for people to really romanticize this experience and want to feel it firsthand and get this like weird FOMO. It's almost like they want to be here to share it on social media. It's not something you want to experience unless you have to, unless you have no other option. Like, we're talking about war and terrorism and horrible things. I do think that there are people who are coming here for clout, so they can post it on social media and get attention. I don't know, unless you really, really have a reason to be here, or you already live here and you need to get back home or something like that, I cannot recommend coming to visit here anytime soon until the situation is over. Period. Someone else asked, please don't take this the wrong way, but why not come back to beautiful Boulder, Colorado? For those of you that don't know, I made Aliyah from Denver, Colorado in 2012. That's where I grew up. And I went to the University of Colorado, which is in Boulder. And Boulder is a really beautiful place on the surface. I had a terrible experience being Jewish and pro-Israel in Boulder all throughout college. I touched on this a little bit in my last video. If you didn't catch that, I'll link it. But again, Israel is my home. Colorado is a home, but it's not my primary home. It's not where I want to continue to live my life. I've worked really, really hard to create a really nice life for myself. I'm not just gonna give that up. I have a wonderful community here, a job that I really care about, friends, a community, an apartment that I love, a social life that I love. I'm 37 years old. I am happily single. I am child-free. And Tel Aviv provides a really wonderful environment for someone who has a lifestyle like mine. I don't want to live in Colorado. I don't want to live in the US. And so yes, the last couple years in Israel have been very tough. There's been times when I've wanted to throw in the towel and say, fuck this place. It's still worth it to me, and I would have to start all over if I came somewhere new, and I don't want to do that. Here's the other thing. Being Jewish in Boulder, Colorado, do you not recall that Molotov cocktails were thrown at a group of Jewish people who were advocating for the release of our hostages while a man screamed Allahu Akbar? Also, when I was in college, I had swastikas drawn on my car. That wasn't really fun. So no, I won't be returning to live in Boulder anytime soon. Do I miss my family and friends in Denver? Of course. Do I wish I was at Trader Joe's right now and then on my way to Costco after that? Definitely. Life doesn't always work out that way, and home is where you make it, and this is my home. So I hope that answers your question. You know what? Let's get out of this dingy bomb shelter and answer some more questions out in the sunlight, because I've spent enough time in a bomb shelter. So let's get the fuck out of here. Come on.
Before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe to Margot's YouTube channel if you want to see more real-life content from Tel Aviv. She really appreciates it.
All right, guys, we are back here. I decided to have a seat here at Kikar Bialik Square here in the heart of Tel Aviv. Junior and I are sitting here next to this beautiful fountain, and I like to come here a lot recently, especially since the war started, to just get some beautiful scenery and hear the fountain and watch the fish. It's really, really lovely here. If you've been here, you know. And they recently restored a lot of these gorgeous buildings around here. So it's a nice place to come and sit and grab a coffee. And it's a perfect segue into another question that I got very frequently when I asked you guys, what do you want to know right now? And so many of you asked me, like, what is life in Tel Aviv actually like day to day here? Like, what's it like in the city? What are the vibes? And this is going to sound weird to say, considering that there are ballistic missiles being launched at us hourly for the past 3 weeks, but it's actually really nice in Tel Aviv right now. And I know that that's weird to say, but I'm going to try and look at the positive of it. Tel Aviv is really quiet. If you follow me on social media, especially on Instagram, in the last couple of years, you know that I've been talking a lot about the positive, but I would say, in my perspective, mostly negative changes that have been happening in Tel Aviv in recent years. The opening of the light rail means that people have access to Tel Aviv in a way they never did before, which is a good thing. Public transportation is important, and it's not that I think Tel Aviv should remain inaccessible to everyone except Tel Avivians. Some of y'all don't know how to act, and so therefore it makes it kind of difficult, because a lot of people come to the city to get things like nightlife and culture and restaurants and all kinds of stuff that they don't have in the suburbs, and it's really kind of changed the fabric of Tel Aviv nightlife and how crowded the city is, and it's not all for the best. And I know that this might make me sound like a snob, but people not coming into Tel Aviv because of the war, I'm not saying that the war is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. It's really quiet because people are staying close to home. They're not getting in their cars and driving long distance. They're not getting on the light rail as much. It's really just Tel Avivians right now. And it feels like Tel Aviv of like 2013, 14. It's I don't want to say it's good vibes only, because, you know, there's a war. And that's been really nice to experience. It's Tel Aviv shel Pam. I personally have been enjoying that. Coming out and getting fresh air when we're not in the bomb shelter is nice because the vibes are peaceful in between sirens. And I know that might not be the answer people would expect, but it's actually kind of nice in the city right now. Here's the other thing that has taken me by surprise. It's 2026. March 2026, and if you would have told me that 6 years later, after COVID, I would still be wearing sweatpants every day and not really leaving my house much, and that we would be on some kind of lockdown, I don't know how I would have felt about hearing that back in 2020, but here we are. It really is a lot. It's like very reminiscent of COVID times. I cannot stress that enough. The first week of COVID, we were kind of like, oh, okay, this is this new thing. We don't know how long it's going to last. We're drinking wine and we're hanging out in the miklat with our friends and it's Purim. It's the same time of year. And we were all just like, oh, okay, this scary kind of thing is happening. And now we're just in it. And it's our new normal. I didn't think that I would have to say that after the pandemic, but here we are. Which is another important thing that I want to emphasize. Speaking of the pandemic, a lot of you guys asked, is it starting to rain? Well, you know I love the rain. All right, let's go find another place to film.
And just like that, our journey through Tel Aviv continues. Where we now venture deeper into the wild to observe the rarest of species, tomares in their natural habitat.
This is funny. If you know, you know. Usually the guys who play this Fujiboli behind me, all the tomares, usually they play at the beach. But my guess is that because there's no shelter near the beach, they have to come to Gan Meir to play Fujiboli. So we are seeing the tomares out of their natural habitat, off the beach. They still have their shirts off, but Fujibali has had to change. So everybody's having to make exceptions to their war routine.
If you haven't been to Tel Aviv in a while, some streets look a lot different these days. Here's Margot to explain.
If King George looks a little different to you, that's because they just did a huge remodel of the whole street. They made the traffic go one way, so it goes north instead of north and south. So it's made it a lot quieter on King George, and they expanded the sidewalk, giving pedestrians a lot more room to walk around. And they made a bike lane that goes the entire length, all the way from Dizengoff to Allenby, basically to the Shuk. So that's been a really nice upgrade. And if you ever walked on King George on a Friday before, you know, the sidewalks were really narrow, and this is just such a nice pedestrian-friendly move on the part of the city. So I really like it.
These days, you come to appreciate the little things, like trips to the AM/PM.
Lately, coming to the AM/PM has kind of felt like a little treat. It's something to do, and they restocked the Diet Coke. So, ooh, and they have my salt and vinegar chips. See, when you go through a war, it really is the little things, like Diet Coke and salt and vinegar chips, that you really appreciate a lot more.
I don't want to hear anything in the comments about how unhealthy Diet Coke is. We have bigger issues to worry about.
Hi guys, as you can probably tell, I'm back home. We've gone through the day. We started the video with coffee. I just went to AM/PM and picked up some wine. So let's have a glass of wine together and I'll answer the rest of your questions.
Amen.
Junie, stop licking. He always starts licking his junk right when I start to record. One of the questions that I got asked a lot, and I think it is such a good one, is how has the war affected your social life and your friendships? And this is another reason that I keep saying this scenario reminds me a lot of COVID. Because if you guys will recall, there was this phenomenon during COVID where the experience of the pandemic and lockdown and quarantine either brought people really close together or it brought relationships to an end. There were many cases of people getting divorced during COVID, but also getting engaged, moving in with each other during lockdown. And I have definitely been no stranger to that. Last time I had a falling out with a friend, and there's just a lot of, and this time too, unfortunately, a friend of mine and our friendship came to an end a couple weeks ago, and I won't get into the details of it all because it's really not important, but it happens, and people are exhausted and emotional and scared, and there's just a lot of stress and tension that can either be good for relationships and for friendships and showing up for people. Like, for example, my friend Lauren and I have been spending a lot of time together since the war started, and our dogs are like best friends, and that's been really great. I've also really gotten close with so many of my neighbors, which is a beautiful, beautiful experience. And again, when people ask me if I want to move back, it's like, no, I'm sorry, but like Israeli neighbors, the good ones, are like gold. They're so helpful, and there's been so many neighbors who have showed up for me and been there for me and supported me, and so for that, the war can be really good for relationships, but in other cases, like, it can end friendships because bitches be crazy. I'll just leave it at that. And in terms of social life, again, it's like we're kind of on lockdown. It's hard to make plans. You don't want to go places where you're not sure how close you're going to be to a shelter if an alert goes off, if there's a siren. For me personally, like, I keep Junior with me at all times. He has been by my side this entire time because obviously if there's a siren, I don't want my dog to be by himself at home in the apartment without protection. I have my dog with me at all times, which makes it not difficult to meet up because Tel Aviv is very dog friendly, but it's just all these different things that you have to factor in when just making simple plans with people. At my core, I am an introvert. I really value my alone time. I really recharge with solitude and time by myself. And sometimes you don't always get that during a war, especially if you have to go to public shelters all the time, or if you have a miklat in a building, which is my scenario where you're around people all the time and you don't get a lot of alone time. Or if you do, you're by yourself and you have to deal with these emergency situations on your own. So it's just kind of a lot in terms of social life and friendships, and without routine and with all the stress and exhaustion, it can create a lot of friction. Here's a question that I really appreciate people asking is, are you ever scared, and how do you cope emotionally day to day? How are you doing emotionally?
Not great, Bob.
Listen, I will say this. Last time when we went through this in June 2025, it was a lot scarier. I'm not going to lie, because we had Iran would send hundreds of missiles at once, and there were a lot more explosions and booms and direct hits very close by. Now they send fewer missiles at once, but they're more frequent. Also, last time we went through this, we still had our hostages in Gaza, and we're still engaged in the fight to get them back. And so it was just it was a lot more frightening back then because, luckily that scenario has changed. It doesn't mean that it's not scary and that what we're going through isn't a lot. This time it's just a little bit more exhausting. We don't know how long we are going to be living like this. And it's less about like the acute fear like last time and more just about the exhaustion and what that can do to our mental health and relationships and just all of that. Which leads me to my next question. Someone asked, this is such a good question. It's kind of two in one. What do Jewish people in the diaspora get wrong about the situation in Israel? Very good question. And the other is, do you feel hopeful about the future? And I decided to combine these because the answer relates to each other. I would say the thing that most well-intentioned people outside of Israel don't fully understand or maybe get wrong is just how spent Israelis actually are. This country has been in crisis mode for the better part of half a decade. I would say that it's not to say that other places in the world haven't been experiencing crisis. I don't mean that. And I'm not here to play the trauma Olympics. Ever since COVID, a lot of places got to kind of move on. And I'm not saying the world isn't on fire in other places, but here in Israel, you really feel the crisis mode because it's such a small country. We had COVID. We had a war with Hamas in 2021. We had the judicial reform protests just after lockdown that really started to tear the country apart politically. Then, we had October 7th, and then that lasted 2.5 years. Then another war with Iran. Then another war with Iran. And now this war with Iran. Oh, not to mention the Haredi draft bill and all of the controversy and problematic things that brings to society, the economy, and just all kinds of shit, okay? And I don't think that Jews in the diaspora truly understand what a shit show it has been here, okay? I think that there is this tendency to kind of romanticize and even sort of glorify Israeli resilience. You will hear that word all the time. The people of Israel are so resilient. This is our new normal. We're so strong. Bitch, no, we're not. We're fucking human, just like anybody else. I'm really getting tired of being resilient all the time. And I think, again, there's a tendency to kind of romanticize how we bounce back and Am Yisrael Chai and rah 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 sis boom ba. I think that there is a little bit of toxic positivity going on personally. And I think it's also because a lot of Jews in the diaspora don't want to believe that Israel, the homeland of the Jewish people, is suffering or struggling or that things aren't working very well here. That's a hard thing to accept. And I think that that's something that a lot of people outside of Israel get wrong. Here's what's actually happening, okay? Wake up call. Suicide rates are up. Domestic violence is up. The mental health crisis that this country is facing right now does not get talked about enough and gets overlooked because, we're so strong. We're so resilient. I don't think that's helping anybody to sit here and pretend that we can just handle all of this and it's not impacting our mental health. The healthcare system is literally overwhelmed and the government is not doing a lot to help, especially not to help families who have lost everything in these wars. It's simply not happening. The systems are collapsing. And one thing I think is really important also to remember is that we joke, especially online, I've made these videos where we joke about Israeli bureaucracy when it comes to things like the post office and the bank and making aliyah. The red tape and lack of coordination is actually costing people their lives in some cases. Not being able to show up for the people of Israel and in an extreme mental health crisis. You thought the bank was poorly organized? You think the government is going to be able to get their shit together? I don't think so. It's a serious problem. We also have an entire rapidly growing Haredi population that the rest of the country is carrying through our tax money. We have, at this point, Gen Z and Gen Alpha who have not been able to go to school in a consistent way in this country since 2020, okay? Everybody else got to return at least to going to school after the pandemic. We've had how many consistent wars that have put a strain on the education system and parents having to try and work from home and also make sure their kids are going to class on Zoom. Like, it's actually crazy. And these are our future leaders. Like, there's no structure to our society right now, and it's really crazy. And I just don't think that people outside of this country understand that. And if there's one takeaway you get from that is that we are spent. We are spent. It's not all Am Yisrael Chai, we're so resilient all the time. And not to mention the social problems that teenagers in Israel are experiencing, their behavior in public spaces. Oh, honey girl, that is like a whole other video. It's not good. The situation ain't great. And you're like, Margot, earlier in the video, you said you want to live here. Yeah, I do, because I still feel that there's hope for the future. And as you know, things don't last forever, I hope. I do believe that there will be a post-war boom and we will get through this, of course. This is the nature of our people. But it's not simple. And I think we have a really long, hard, expensive road ahead of us to rebuild. To rebuild a lot of things. We need a lot of change. When people ask, how can we support Israel from abroad? I think that the Jewish diaspora can support Israel abroad by really educating yourself about the day-to-day happenings in this country. Stay informed, listen to Israelis.
The last fucking thing that the Jewish world needs right now is another gala, another fundraiser, another red carpet event. We need people to actually start paying attention to the things that are not going well in this country. Coming here and vacationing and spending your money is cool, it's one thing, but if you're not here to like lift a fucking finger and actually help rebuild our society that is really pretty fucking broken right now, then I suggest hanging out on the sidelines and informing yourself a little bit more. If you don't know what's going on in the Israeli political system, among our politicians, who's leading this country, and then you go out and try to advocate for Israel, I don't know. I think maybe that's a good first step to try and be helpful, to really, really educate yourself about what's going on, not staying in the dark about Israeli politics and Israeli society and the dark underbelly and the struggles that take place in this country every single day. The toxic positivity, it's not helping. And I get a lot of shit on this online. Oh, girl. Every time one of my videos goes viral and I get a bunch of new followers, every time I say something critical about this country, they say, you shouldn't be sharing that. The anti-Semites already hate us. You're just giving more fuel to their fire. You just said they already hate us. Me being honest about the situation that we're going through in this country, they already fucking hate us. We could give them all $1 billion since they think we're so rich, and they would still fucking find a way to call us killers and child whatever. Being honest about what's happening in this country is the only way to make things change. So if you don't like that, I don't think that my content is for you. Don't look away when Israelis tell you that things aren't that great here. Don't try to sugarcoat it. Don't try to gaslight us. And don't tell us that we shouldn't be talking about that, because this is our country. If you don't live here and you're not a citizen and you don't pay taxes, you really shouldn't be talking over those of us who do. Like, okay? Because we're tired. We've been in bomb shelters for 6 fucking years. Okay? Hi. Well, this is a sign that Junie's hungry and he wants his dinner. And I think this is a good place to end the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you've watched until this part, leave a rocket emoji in the comments. I really appreciate you guys joining me on this YouTube journey. It's been something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and the war kind of threw my plans off, but I'm really happy to have you here. If you want to see more content from me, let me know what you want to see in the comments, and subscribe to my channel so you can always get updates of when I post. And thank you so much for watching. All right, Junior and I are out. I gotta feed this hungry boy, and we love you. Thanks for watching. Mwah.
Now, if you'll excuse us, we're going to attempt to get some sleep in between sirens. Good night from Tel Aviv. Thanks for watching.